All right, welcome to another Wildcat varsity bowling match. This time it's between the Wildcats of Napoleon and the Liberty Center Tigers. Coming to you from River City Bowlaway. It's December 28th, 2020. If somebody can hear me, please give me a note on the chat. All right, we've got Jacob Hull up on lane number 3 for Napoleon. And he gets 9, leaves the 10 pin on his first ball. So Gallagher up on lane 1 with a strike. Started off. Liberty Center's first 2 bowlers. We got a strike for Liberty Center on lane 2 and 7 pins on lane number 4. Thank you for the shout out. All right, James Gherkin starts out with 8, leaves a 6-10 on lane number 1. Ashton Kiesling up for Napoleon. James with the spare delivery. Ashton gets a strike, and James picks up a spare. Up on lane 1, we've got Elijah Wolf, one of our seniors. His first ball underway, and he gets a strike. All right, switching to the girls' match, we've got Abby Detmer up for Napoleon on lane number 5. Leaves the 10 pin. Next to her in lane number 6 is Carly Hohenbrink. Carly hits a little bit heavy, ends up leaving the 4-7. Liberty Center up on lane number 8 for the girls. Abby with her spare delivery. And Liberty Center gets a strike, and Abby misses just inside on that 10 pin. Carly with her spare attempt. Picks it up. James Gherkin for Napoleon just picked up a strike on lane number 2. We've got Jacob Hull on lane number 4 coming up. On lane number 6 for the girls is Sydney Everly, one of our freshmen this year. She picks up 8. Jacob picks up 8, but in a split. And Elijah with another strike. Jacob with a spare attempt. Just picks up the 1. Sydney with her spare attempt on lane number 6. That's a good looking ball. Picks up her spare. Spencer Schreiber with a strike on lane number 8. Abby Detmer coming up on lane number 6 for Napoleon's girls. She picks up a strike. Off into the corner, you can see Ashton Kiesling for Napoleon's boys with a strike on lane number 4. James Gherkin with a strike for Napoleon boys on lane number 1. We've got Elijah Wolf coming up on lane number 1. He gets another strike. That's 3 in a row for Elijah. Jacob hits a little heavy. Ends up leaving the 3-6. Liberty Center picks up their spare on lane number 2. Liberty Center with a strike on lane number, or no, I'm sorry, he left the 10 pin. It's 9 count on lane number 1, but they pick up their strike on lane number 4. All right, we've got Carly Hohenbrink, lane number 5, picking up her spare. Picks up the 7 pin, no problem. Sydney Everly on lane number 5 for Napoleon. It's a little light, leaves the 1-2. Ella Fox up on lane number 7. A little heavy, but it gets the strike. Liberty Center pulls it, leaves the 1-3-8. Sydney with her spare attempt. Loses it just a little left, picks up 1. Spencer Schweiger with a strike on lane number 7. We've got Liberty Center up on lane number 4. He gets the strike. A lot of pin action on that one. Abby Detmer on lane number 5 hits a little heavy, ends up leaving the 3-6-9. James Gherkin, spare attempt, lane 2, picks it up. I believe that was a 6 pin. Got Michael Gallagher up on lane number 1 for Napoleon. He gets a strike. Liberty Center also gets a strike on lane number 3. Jacob Hull up on lane number 4. Ooh, 7-10 split. Elijah Wolf, lane number 2. Can't get the 7 pin to fall. That's 9 for him. Liberty Center with another strike on lane number 3. James Gherkin, lane number 1 for Napoleon. Leaves a 6-10. Elijah picks up his spare. Liberty Center can't convert their spare in lane number 5, but does so on lane number 7. Sydney up on lane number 6. Ella Fox up on lane number 8. Ella with a strike. Oh! Sydney's ball hooked at the last minute. Couldn't get the 10 pin. Spencer up for Napoleon, lane number 8. And Carly, or no, I'm sorry, that's Abby. Abby's up on lane number 6. Abby gets 9, leaves 10 pin. Spencer with a strike. Liberty Center looking to convert their spare on lane number 7. They all fall down. Another spare attempt for Liberty Center girls on lane number 5. She picks it up. Abby going after her 10 pin. Got it. All right, Liberty Center boys. We've got 9 on each. 9 on lane 2 and 9 on lane 4. We've got a 8 pin on lane 2 and a 5 pin on lane 4. Ashton Keesling up for Napoleon boys on lane 3 with a strike. Liberty Center on lane 4 and lane 2 going after their spares. And they both convert. Michael Gallagher up for Napoleon on lane 2. Liberty Center leaves the 10 pin on lane 4. As does Michael. Michael leaves the 10 pin on lane number 2. And a strike for Liberty Center on lane number 3. Michael misses his spare attempt just inside. We got Abby Detmer for Napoleon Girls coming up on lane 5, and Spencer on lane number 7. Spencer with a strike. That was a nice looking ball. Abby a little bit heavy, gets a little help. Leaves the 3 pin. She gets 9. Good ball from Liberty Center on lane number 8. That's a strike for her. Liberty picks up one of the split, the 7-9. Picks up the 9 pin. Abby picks up her spare. Liberty Center, lane number 7. Ends up leaving the 2-4-5. Ella for Napoleon leaves the 10 pin. 9 for her. We've got Elijah Wolf coming up on lane number 2 for Napoleon. And also Jacob Hull on lane number 4. Elijah misses his spare. He missed the 7 pin. Jacob, first ball, gets a strike. Strike for Jacob in the 6th frame. James Gherkin, lane number 1, ends up leaving the 4-7. Ashton Kiesling, lane number 4 for Napoleon. A little heavy, gets the strike though. It's back-to-back strikes for Ashton. Jacob also with back-to-back strikes. Liberty Center going after the 7 pin for his spare. Gets it. James with his spare attempt picks that up. All right, we got Sydney for Napoleon up on lane number 6. Good looking ball, but doesn't quite carry. She ends up leaving the 5-8. Sydney coming up for her spare attempt on lane number 6. Michael Gallagher just picked up a strike on lane number 2. Sydney picks up her spare. Liberty Center Girls pulls that one. Ends up leaving the 1-3. That's on lane number 8. Lane number 7, Liberty Girls. Ends up leaving the 5 pin, gets 9. Abby Detmer, lane number 5 for Napoleon, a little bit heavy. Ends up leaving the 3 pin. Carly Hohenbrink on lane number 5 for Napoleon. Gets the strike. James Gherkin up for Napoleon. James is a senior this year. And he had a nasty 7-10 split to deal with. Takes his 7 pin and moves on. Sydney with a strike on lane number 5. Ella on lane number 7. Also with a strike. Liberty Center Girls gets 8 on lane number 6. She leaves the 4-7. to be Detmer up for Napoleon. A little bit heavy. This time leaves a 6-pin. Spencer Schweiger up on lane number 7. Strike for Spencer. Elijah on lane 2 picks up his 10-pin for his spare. Liberty Center up on lane number 3 for their boys. A little bit heavy, ends up leaving the 3, 6, 7, 10. Michael Gallagher on lane number 1 for Napoleon. Looks like a strike. Yep, that's 3 in a row for Michael. Oh, good attempt for the spare from Liberty Center on lane 3, but he picks up 3 of them. James with 8, I'm sorry, on lane number 1 leaves the 4-7. Ashton Kiesling up on lane number 4 with a strike. Liberty Center, lane number 7 leaves a 10-pin. We got Carly coming up for Napoleon on lane number 6. But first we got Ella on lane number 8. Good looking ball. Can't get the 10-pin to fall. That's 9. Carly comes up a little heavy, but she gets some help and it falls. Even the ugly ones count. Oh, Ella misses just inside. Sydney up for Napoleon. A little heavy, gets some help though. Strike for Sydney. As long as all the pins fall, they count. All right. Ashton Kiesling up on lane number 3. Explosion of pins and another strike for Ashton. At least 4 in a row for him. Michael Gallagher dealing with an ugly split on lane number 2. He's got the 8-10. Picks up the 8. Liberty Center, lane number 1. Gets the strike. So Michael finishes with a 196. Liberty Center's first bowler finishes with a 176. Up on lane number 4. Starting his 10th frame with a strike. James with his fill ball on lane 2. Strike. So James finishes with a 193. Strike for Elijah in the 10th. Spencer looking to pick up her spare here. gets it. So we move on to the 10th frame with a spare in the 9th. Jacob finishes with a 187. Kiesling gets the 10 pin to fall. That's a strike to start the 10th. All right, we've got Ella started out the 10th frame with a strike. Carly's got a 9, looking at a 10 pin here. Carly picks it up, no problem. Ella gets 9. Carly striking the 10th. So Carly finishes with a 227. Ella finished with a 194. Elijah finished with a 214. And Ashton finished with an impressive 264. For Liberty Center, we've got 176. It looks like Joshua Sexton. 147, Jonathan Smith. 184, Tim Blanton. Jacob Sexton, 169. And Landon looks like he's finishing his 10th frame. Spencer with another strike. Sydney has a spare with her coming up on our last ball in his 10th. Hangs it out wide. Gets 8. She finishes with 180. Liberty Center gets 8. Leaves the 5-9. And another strike for Spencer to finish out the 10th for a 258. Abby's got the, what is that, 278 maybe? And she picks up 1. All right, again, recapping the boys' scores. We've got Michael Gallagher with a 196, James Gherkin with a 193, Jacob Hull with a 187, Ashton Kiesling with 264, and Elijah Wolf for 214. For a total of 1054. Up for Liberty Center, we got Josh Sexton with 176, Jonathan Smith 147, Tim Blanton 184, Jacob Sexton 169, and Landon Amstutz with 184 for a total of 860. All right, and for the girls, For Napoleon, Abby Detmer with a 160. Sydney Eberly with 180. Ella Fox, 194. Carly Hohenbrink, 227. And Spencer Schweiger with 258. For a total of 1019. For Liberty Center, I've got scores of 119, 127, 132, 147, and 193 for a total of 718 pins. All right, moving into the second game. We just had another freshman for Napoleon, Mason Melia, with a strike. James Gherkin up on lane number 2. He gets a strike. I guess I should say Mason this is his first year on the team. Elijah Wolf with a strike. Liberty Center, lane number 3. Gets 8, leaves the 3-6. Mason up on lane number 1 for Napoleon. He gets 9. Leaves the 3-pin. Liberty Center. Oh, just gets 1. It looked like it was going to clip both of them, but at the last second it pulled up. Liberty Center going after the 7-pin. Can't quite get it. Mason going after his spare. Right on target. All right, coming up for Napoleon in lane number 6, it's Jalen Rupel. And that's a pretty ball. That's a strike for Jalen. Carly on lane number 5. A little heavy. It's wobbling, but it won't go down. That's the 3-pin. Liberty Center pulled the one on number 8, leaves the 1-3-9. Liberty Center up for their spare on lane number 7. Looks like the 4-7-8. Picks up 2. Carly picks up her spare. Liberty Center on lane number 6. A little light. Leaves the 2-pin. Liberty Center with their spare attempt on lane number 8. Picks it up. Ella on lane number 7. That's a strike for her. Sydney a little bit heavy. Gets... Well, 9 pins went down, but the scoring machine only counted 8 of them for Sydney. We have a slight scoring correction. She left the 9-pin. Spencer up on lane number 7. She gets 9. Can't get the 10-pin to fall. Sydney handles her spare. Liberty Center, lane number 8 with a strike. Nice ball. Liberty Center got 8 on lane number 4. Elijah with a strike. That's 4 in a row for Elijah. Liberty Center misses their spare just inside on lane 2 for the boys. Carly can't get the last pin to fall. Ends up leaving the 5 pin. Spare for Liberty Center. On lane number 4, I think it was. Lane number 3, it's Jacob Hull. Strike for him. That's 4 in a row for him. Oh, they all come crashing down on lane number 4 for Liberty Center for a strike. What looked like an ugly split turned into a strike. And a strike for Ashton on lane number 3. Sometimes you just get the pins bouncing around enough. Liberty, a nice strike there for, I believe that was Landon Amstutz. Elijah, lane number 2. Another strike. 7 pin falls down at the last minute. Liberty Center, lane number 3. Gets the strike. Couple of ugly splits for the Napoleon girls. Those both look like really good balls. Just came up hard at the last second and split up. So Sydney, with her attempt here, she picks up 1. Spencer, but all she can do is aim for 1. That's what she does. There's a strike for Ashton on lane number 4 for the boys. Jalen up on lane number 6. That's a strike for her. She's got 3 in a row now. Carly with a strike on lane number 5. Liberty Center up on lane number 7. She pulls it a little bit. Gets 7. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, pulls it. 9 for Liberty Center on lane number 6. There's a strike for Liberty Center on lane number 3. James Gherkin, spare attempt. Misses it just inside. Jacob Hull coming up, and Elijah Wolf for Napoleon. And a pair of strikes. We get 6 on lane number 2 for Liberty Center. And leaves a 10 pin for Liberty Center on lane number 4. Ashton Kiesling up on lane number 3 along with Mason. Mason gets 9, leaves the 8 pin. Ashton gets the strike. Jalen leaves 10 pin on lane number 5. Mason with his spare attempt on lane number 1. Picks it up. Jalen picks up her spare. Spencer Schweiger had a strike on lane number 7 just a moment ago. Something doesn't feel right. Carla steps down. Liberty gets the strike on lane number 5. Carly hooks a little heavy, leaves the 3-pin. Liberty Center girls up on lanes 5 and 7. And both of them strike. Oh, no. Yeah, both of them strike. Liberty Center picks up their spare on lane 8. Carly with her spare attempt gets it. Thought that was going to hook a little bit too much at the end, but she hangs on and picks it up. That's a strike for Liberty Center on lane number 7. Spencer coming up on lane 8, and Sydney coming up on lane 6 for Napoleon girls. Sydney pulls it, picks up 3. Spencer with the strike. Liberty Center up on lane number 7. Gets 9, leaves the 4-pin. Sydney with her spare attempt here. Oh, leaves 1. All right, Elijah up for Napoleon on lane number 1. Another strike. Jacob, lane number 3. That's another strike for him as well. Next up, we've got Mason, lane number 1 for Napoleon. He gets 9, leaves the 6-pin. Ashton with 8, leaving the 4-7. Jalen picks up her spare on lane 6. Mason can't convert his spare. Ashton covers his spare. James Gherkin up for Napoleon in lane number 1. Liberty Center gets their spare on lane number 2. James gets 9, leaves the 7-pin. Jacob up on lane number 4 with a strike. Elijah Wolf, 9th frame. Gets the strike. Mason up on lane number 2 for Napoleon. Gets 8, ends up leaving the 3-9. Liberty Center leaves 8 on lane 1. Or I'm sorry, 7 on lane 1. There's another one in there. He leaves the 3-9-10. And it looks like either a 6-pin or a 10-pin on lane number 3. Oh, I thought that was going to go down for Liberty Center on lane number 4. But The 9 pin just kind of wobbles there. Mason with his spare attempt, lane number 2. Good spare for Mason. Liberty Center, spare attempt, lane 4, picks it up. And a strike for Liberty Center on lane number 1. James Gherkin up for Napoleon, lane number 2. Can't get the 7 pin to go down. Gets 9. Elijah Wolf up on lane number 1. Start his 10th frame. Strike. James with his spare attempt on lane number 2. Picks it up. Elijah Wolf up on lane number 1. That's a strike. Final ball for Elijah on the second game. A strike for a perfect game for Elijah Wolf. That's a 300. That makes the third 300 this season for Napoleon boys. Jacob Hull up for Napoleon on lane number 3. Gets a strike. Mason up for Napoleon on lane number 1. Gets 8. Leaves the 610. Jacob on lane number 3. Gets 9. Can't get the 10 pin to fall. It's a lot prettier spare attempt than what he had left, a few seconds ago. It looked like it was going to be a 4, 6, 7, 10, but 3 of them decided to bow out. Mason picks up his spare in the 10th frame. Jacob finishes with a 268. Liberty Center leaves the 310 on lane number 2. Oh, that was his second ball. Or that must have been his fill ball. Yep. Ashton with a strike to start his 10th frame. And Mason finishes his 10th frame with a strike. Mason finishes with a 182. James gets a strike to start out his 10th. Ashton pulled that one. Gets 8, leaves the 1-3. James with another strike in the 10th. picks up his final 2 pins to finish with a 266. James' final ball, 10th frame. Gets 7. That's a good place to leave that one. He leaves the 4-6-7. He finishes with an even 200. All right, moving back to the girls. Ella just had a strike on lane number 8 in the 9th frame. Liberty Center with her spare attempt on lane number 7 picks it up. Spencer on lane number 8. That's a strike. And then Carly over on the lane number 6 leaves the 7 pin. Liberty Center gets a strike. That's her 9th frame. Strike going into the 10th. Carly can't get it to hook enough. Misses her spare. Liberty Center, lane number 7, a little heavy. Leaves the 610. Sydney up for Napoleon. Crosses over the head pin, gets 9, leaves the 3 pin. Liberty Center looking to pick up her spare here on lane number 7. Looks good. Got it. Liberty Center prepares to start their 10th frame over on lane number 8 while Sydney picks up her spare. All right, we've got the boys' scores here. We've got James Gherkin with a 200, Jacob Hall with a 268, Ashton Kiesling with a 266, Mason with a 182, and Elijah Wolf with a perfect 300 for 1216. That gives them, let's see, I believe that's 2270 if I'm doing the math right. Meanwhile, Liberty Center, we have Josh Sexton with a 132, Tim Blanton with a 216, Jacob Sexton with a 169, Landon Amstutz with a 212, and Cody McDougall with a 116 for a total of 845. So that would be 1705 total. Yep, 2270 and 1705. Liberty Center, spare attempt. Nice pickup on lane number 8 for Liberty Center. Ella's got 2 strikes in the 10th. Third ball. Nice strike for Ella. She finishes with a 208. Carly picks up her spare. She'll get one more. Liberty Center leaving the 4-7 on lane number 6. Carly gets a strike, finishes with a 195. Spencer gets 9, leaves the 4 pin. Liberty Center, spare attempt underway. Picks it up, lane number 6. And a strike for Liberty Center in the 10th on lane number 8. Sydney up for Napoleon, lane number 5, 10th frame. Working on a spare. She gets 8, leaves the 4-7. Spencer picks up her spare. Liberty Center Little light on that one. Ends up leaving the 2-4-5. Meanwhile, Liberty Center on lane number 6 leaves the 4-pin. Gets 9. Sydney, spare attempt underway. That looks good. Oh, it hooked at the last minute. Sydney ends with a 122. Spencer, last ball. Lane number 7, strike. Liberty Center picks up their spare on both lanes. Jalen up on lane number 5 gets a strike. That's her 3rd in a row. And a strike for Liberty Center on lane number 8. Liberty Center's girls on lanes 5 and 6 finished with a 173 and a 157. Ella finished with a 208 for Napoleon. Spencer Schweigert finished with a 171. The other Liberty Center on pair 7 and 8 have a 135, a 156, and the last pair is just finishing up. Gets a strike for her 2nd ball in the 10th. Jalen with an ugly split, 4-7-10. Tries to pick up 2 and does. And finishes with a 234. Good game for Jalen. All right, switch to the boys Baker match, which is just underway. So Liberty Center has started out with 3 strikes in a row. Or no, I'm sorry, we're in the 7th frame already. Never mind. Their last 3 balls have been strikes. We got Michael Gallagher up for Napoleon. Leaves the 4-pin. Another strike for Liberty Center. Match is about even at this point. Michael, spare attempt. Picks it up. Liberty Center gets 9, leaves the 5-pin. All right, we've got the girls' scores here. Sydney Everly with a 122. Ella Fox with a 208. Carly Hohenbrink with a 195. Jalen Rupel with a 234. And Spencer Schweiger with a 171 for a 930 total. So that would be 1949 total pins. And then we've got Liberty Center with a 173, a 157, a 135, a 156, and a 159 for a total of 780. So that would be 1498. I'm doing the math correctly. All right. Got James with a split here. It's like the 7-8. Right between them. Got him. 10th frame for the boys. Liberty Center boys. Starts out with a strike. Elijah Wolf up for the Napoleon 9th frame. That's a strike for him. This match is neck and neck. Oh, a strike. The 7-pin goes down. for Liberty Center on lane number 4. Jacob Hull up for Napoleon. Needs to start with a strike here. Gets 9, leaves the 3-pin. A little light for Liberty Center. Gets 6, but that's a good place to leave that one. They finish the first Baker with 220. Jacob picks up his spare. If he strikes out, he'll have a maximum score of 208. Switch over to the girls' Bakers. Liberty Center. This is her second ball. Gets 8. Ella up for Napoleon. Gets 9. Can't get the 10-pin to fall. Liberty a little light. Leaves the 1, 2, 4, 8, 10. Since this is a normal contest, there's 2 regular individual games, followed by 3 Baker games, and total pins from all the games will determine the winner of the match. Up in the number 5 spot, or no, I'm sorry, the number 4 spot for Napoleon is Jalen Ruppel. Jalen with a strike. Liberty Center, their 5th bowler with a strike. Spencer up in the number 5 slot for Napoleon. Let's it go. Strike for Spencer. Back-to-back strikes for Napoleon girls. Oh, the 7-pin goes down for Liberty Center, so that'll be back-to-back strikes for Liberty Center as well. That's 9 for Carly Hohenbrink, leaves 7-pin. Liberty Center's got 3 strikes in a row now. Carly picks up the spare. Liberty Center leaves the 4-7. Abby leaves the 7, picks up 9. Michael Gallagher just got a strike for the boys. Well, they've started out the match with 3 strikes, or 4 strikes, 3 strikes, at least 3 strikes in a row. I can't tell. They're in the 5th frame now. Abby picks up her spare. And a nasty looking split for Liberty Center. 4-7-10. Ella up for Napoleon. On its way. Oh, she must have pulled that one. Gets 9, leaves the 3-pin. And Liberty Center picks up 2 of the 3. So 5 strikes in a row for Napoleon boys. We'll switch back to that match just momentarily. Jacob Hall makes it 6 in a row. Liberty Center gets 8 in their 10th frame, leaving 6-10. Jalen Rupel with a strike in the 9th. Ashton gets 9, leaves the 4-pin. Liberty Center picks up their spare. Spencer to start the 10th frame for Napoleon. Starts it with a 9, leaves the 7-pin. Ashton picks up his spare. Liberty Center girls finish with 9. They leave the 10-pin for a 169. That's a strike for the Liberty Center boys. Spencer finishes with a 9 spare 9 for a 201 Baker game for the girls. Liberty Center picks up the 10-pin on their 7-10 split. Michael Gallagher up for Napoleon with a strike. Frame, another split for Liberty Center. 4-7-10. Elijah gets 9 in the 10th frame, leaves the 10-pin. And he can't convert the 10-pin. Napoleon boys finish with a 221 in their second Baker game. Liberty Center starts out with a strike. We'll switch back to the girls match. Sydney got 9 on her first ball. Looking to pick up the spare and does so. Liberty Center started the first frame out 7 spare. This is their second bowler. Leaves the 10-pin. Carly Hohenbrink up for Napoleon. Takes out the 5-pin, but can't get the 7 to fall. Liberty can't get it to hang on for the 10-pin conversion. Carly converts the 7-pin though. Liberty. Abby Detmer up for Napoleon. Gets a strike. Liberty Center, spare attempt underway. Gets it. Ella up for Napoleon. Crosses the head pin. Leaves the 3-pin. Liberty Center. Gets a strike. Ella's spare attempt underway. That looks good. Picks it up. Michael Gallagher starts the boys out with a strike in their third Baker game. A strike for Liberty Center back to back. Jalen Rupel up for Napoleon. Leaves the 4-7. And a strike for Liberty Center. That's 3 in a row. James Gherkin with a strike for the boys. That's 3 in a row now for them. Jalen picks up her spare. 9 for Liberty Center, leaving the 10-pin. Ashton leaves the 3-6. Sydney with a strike for the Napoleon girls. Liberty Center picks up their 10-pin. Carly coming up. This is frame 7 for the Napoleon girls. She leaves the 4-8. Like that one might have just been a little bit light. Another 10-pin for Liberty. All right, switch back to the boys. Elijah Wolf just added a strike for the boys in the 5th frame for Napoleon. Sure what's going on, if we need a scoring correction or pin movement or something. Switch back to the girls for a moment. Abby Detmer up for Napoleon. Gets 2 out of the 3. And Liberty Center picks up their spare. And a strike for Ella for Napoleon. That's in the 9th frame. A really tight second Baker game here for the girls. And Liberty Center picks up 9. Leaves the 4-pin. Jaylen's up for the girls for Napoleon. Oh, she leaves the 10-pin. Liberty Center makes their spare. And so does Jaylen. Mason just picked up a strike for the boys. And that's 9 for the Liberty Center girls. And they finish with a 193. And a strike for Jaylen Rupel. And Napoleon finishes with a 183. James Gherkin with a strike. Liberty Center. Another strike for Liberty Center. Ashton up for Napoleon. A little heavy, ends up leaving the 5-8 or 5-9, I'm sorry. Liberty with a strike on lane number 4. That's back to back. Ashton, spare attempt underway. Oh, he chops. He just gets 1. Light for Liberty Center. Misses the head pin, leaves the 1-2-4. Elijah Wolf up for Napoleon. Starts out the 10th with a strike. And Liberty picks up 2 out of their 3. Elijah up with his second ball, 10th frame. Gets 9, leaves the 4-pin. A little heavy from Liberty Center, leaves the 3-6. To start the 9th frame for them. And Elijah picks up his last one in Napoleon's 3rd Baker game, 234. Liberty comes up a little high, only gets 1 out of their 2. Liberty Center's final men's bowler gets a strike. Ball underway. Gets another strike. Has a potential for a 188 game in the 3rd Baker. If he can knock all 10 pins down. Oh, he slips. He gets 9. And they finish with a 187. Switching back to the girls' match. A strike for Liberty Center. And a strike for Jalen for Napoleon. And Liberty Center leaves the 6 pin. Sydney leaves the 5 pin. Gets 9. Liberty Center picks up her spare. Sydney gets it. Liberty Center gets 7. Leaving the 4-7-9. Carly up for Napoleon. Leaves the 10 pin. Goes right, Liberty Center goes right between. Carly, 10 pin attempt. Gets it. The 6 for Liberty Center, the 1-2-4-10. Detmer up for Napoleon. Gets 8, leaves the 2-8. Liberty Center picks up 3 of them. Abby picks up her spare. Liberty Center gets 8, leaving the 4-7. That brings up Ella for Napoleon, 9th frame. And Ella gets a strike. All right, so the final totals. We had Baker games of 206, 221, and 234 for Napoleon for a 661 Baker total. Add that to the 2270 from match play, and they finished with 2931 for Napoleon. Liberty Center had 220, 162, and 187 for the Baker games, finishing with a 569. Add that to their match play of 1705, and they end up with 2274. Liberty Center picks up 9 on their first ball in the 10th. Jalen left the 10 pin, but cleans it up. Spare attempt underway for Liberty Center. On target, got it. And final ball for Jalen for the Napoleon Wildcats. A little bit heavy, ends up leaving the 610. So Napoleon finishes with a 183 in the third Baker game. Liberty Center with 7 finishes with a 178. See if I can grab the final girls' scores here as the coaches come by. As always, we appreciate you guys joining the live feed. If you guys have any suggestions or comments, we're always welcome to hear them. Hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and have a safe New Year. All right, so for the girls' final totals, the Napoleon Wildcat girls had Bakers of 201, 183, and 183 for a total of 567. Match play total was 1949. That gives them a team total of 2516. Liberty Center had Bakers of 169, 193, and 178 for a Baker total of 540. Add that to their match play total of 1498. And they end up with 2038. So Napoleon boys and girls are victorious tonight. Again, hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you after the new year.